Right, just want to have a conversation about your belief in your own capability in terms of inflicting violence on another in order to self-preserve, let's say. So what is your current belief in your capability to actually inflict potential brutal level of violence that may be needed if the same was offered to you by some kind of street criminal? And understand that a street criminal will have the willingness to end your life in a blink. So what kind of willingness do you have to respond in kind overwhelmingly, let's say? You may not believe it on the first thought, but the majority of people have the capability for brutal violence. Even if you think it's not in you, yes, it's in you too. Under the right conditions, the right circumstances, I believe that it's in the majority. This is really about knowing yourself, self-awareness if you like, in relation to cultivating the mindset necessarily to inflict brutal level of violence for self-preservation. Fact is, you can do all the training that you want, but you must pre-decide before you ever find yourself in the event that if some fucker offers you confrontational violence that will change the way you live your life or end it, that you will respond in kind over fucking overwhelmingly. Really, that's the only way. You've got to deal with like with like. You know, the only way to deal with bad is bad. In other words, there's no time to debate this shit during the event. You know, to do so would just create hesitation and indecision, and hesitation and indecision will most certainly beget your defeat. So we talked before about cultivating that preordained fury, plausible by thinking about loss. If you can't find it in yourself to fight for yourself, as many people can't, think about the loss or the impact that it will have on you, those that care about you, those that love you. We've talked about before about thinking about loss. Contemplate loss. If you can't find what's necessary to fight tenaciously enough to end the threat that you're facing, so if you can't find it in yourself on facing bad to be worse, then you lose. And the consequences of losing nowadays in any situation is potentially your death. You know, any situation now, people are dying for trivial shit. There's a good chance that, you know, there's going to be a weapon, there's more than one. People will be hell-bent on your destruction and want to film it as they do it. I mean, society's fucking crazy. So if you find yourself in any altercation, which you must surmise that you might, because, you know, those of you that are training for that reason, then know that even the most minor altercation can go from bad to fucking horrible in a blink. Last time you draw a breath. So if it is, you lose everything. So we talked about losing loss. You've got to find that righteous indignation, you know, that is cultivated when you think about such things and think about what you would do before such an event ever came your way, rather than bury your head. You know, that's obviously going to be the best thing that you can do in terms of possibly, plausibly having a chance, you know. But in terms of accessing your indignation, because indeed, like I said, I believe that you can, and your focused aggression, you need to be able to access a level of indignation and aggression that will totally eclipse that what you're facing. That's the idea. You need to be able to utilise adrenaline and use it. You know, self-righteous anger and moral indignation is what's necessary for you to access immediately in response to some fucking miscreant that's trying to drag you into a violent confrontation that may end your life the way you know it. Anybody does that to anybody. Anybody incites violence on somebody else, draws them into it, makes them a cornered animal and forces them to fight for their life. That's a cunty thing to do to anyone under any circumstances. You know, unless that is morally fucking justified some way where someone's just got to have something for payback. You know, that's a cunty thing to do to somebody, and it's non-consensual. Somebody starting on you is non-consensual. You want to go home and they want to give you a big problem. You should fucking resent that. That should spark your indignation. Because the first thing that robbed you off is choice. Well, that rightful indignation that I'm talking about is the spark. That's the spark of aggression that you want to marry to an immediate, direct and explosive skill set that just blitz the creeks through the cunt. That's the level of violence that you're going to need. I mean, in actual physicalities of that, with the what's you'll do, I mean, it's what you train. I mean, your level of force should meet the level of threat. But nowadays, you may need to go to level 10. You know, we've talked about this before. Going to level 10 may mean that you need to end the threat. Do you have it in you? Have you ever contemplated it? We all know that all consequences of violence are negative. We all know that. If we can avoid and escape and everything else, we'll always do the utmost that we can to do that. Like I said, there's two faces that you see now. First being always as it has been, striving to stay within the realms of reasonable and necessary if avoidance and escape is not possible. So you do what's necessary for you to facilitate your escape in a civilian situation so that you can get home. That's all that matters. If you do that, you know, the law is such a grey area that you can still get fucked. We've talked about that. The reality now is that any potential confrontation that you find yourself in, you might have to end the fucker in order to get out of it, in which case, of course, there's going to be consequences of that. Even if you are remote chance found justifiable for your use of force, it was self-defense for self-preservation, and you actually walk away without any kind of legal discrepancy, if you're forced to do that to somebody else as a normal person, you will never be the fucking same again. So I do believe that the emotional, psychological conditioning is probably more important than the physical, because it's what allows you to access the willingness to take part. You've got to develop that part of your self-awareness that allows you to search deep within yourself internally, you know, and look at whether you can do it or not. And any issues that you come across from a moral or ethical standpoint need to be addressed. You know, you need to know what your potential is to actually use what you practice for real to the extreme, to the absolute end. Where do you sit on the passive-aggressive scale? So think about a scale of you've got passiveness and you've got aggressiveness, and the ideal would be that right times we sit somewhere in the middle between we can be passive and show empathy when we want, and we can be aggressive and stand up when we need to. The ideal would be the middle of that, but society is breeding people that are not. They're either massively passive and are never going to find the flicker, or they're extremely aggressive and got fucking severe anger issues. You know? Where do you sit? Do you even know? If you are a very timid personality, what steps could you take to make yourself more assertive? What could you do about it? If you are the other way, too hyper-aggressive and you knee-jerk at the least little thing, well, that's bad. You know, what the fuck can you do to control that? The bottom line is, you need to look deep within yourself, that self-awareness. I mean, how do you regard yourself in terms of self-importance? Believe that you are important, worth standing up for, worth fighting for, and if not, why not? You know, these are big questions. that lead us back to when we talked about this before, which is, what do you want to live for? What are the things in your life that make you tick, that make you really happy, if there's anything? You know, what would you be prepared to fight for to the end? What would you be prepared to risk your life for? What would you be prepared, if anything, to die for? What would you be prepared, if anything, to kill for? These are really deep questions, you know, that you need to contemplate at some point in your life. You don't want to fucking dwell on them, but you need to think about it, because they all lead to self-awareness of knowing whether or not you could. I mean, the only way you're ever going to really know is to go there. And if you've been there, then you know. Harsh times are coming. You need to get your head right. What I say about before, you know, one of the most important things is getting your head right. This is an example of getting your head right. So I ask you again, from a self-awareness perspective, where do you sit on the scale of willingness to do what was necessary in order for you to get home, to prevail? Like I said, you know, you can do everything that's necessary to get home, and you could get taken from your family and incarcerated. That's true. Make it happen. Or you could do nothing and get taken from your family because you're dead. So understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you are ever forced into a situation out of sheer desperation where you had to fight for your life because avoidance escape, the escalation was not a probability, then to what level could you take part? Food for thought. I think these are the important things that you need to address.